Hello everyone, welcome to Reggae Boys Commentary. Thank you very much for tuning in to another video on this channel. Very special guest we have today. It's always great to see yardmen all over the globe doing some fantastic things. And with me, a special yardman, Jamahl Jarrett, doing great things over in England. We're going to get down to the details. As you can see the colors, there's a reason for this, so we'll get to it quite shortly. Jamahl, walk on, brother. Hope you're doing good.
Yeah, man. All good.
It's a pleasure to hear from you, man, and to reach out to you. Firstly, before we get into the details, how's the family doing? How are you doing physically? How's the UK right now?
Yeah, do you know what? The UK is doing really well. We're pretty much almost out of like everything COVID related. So I think we got June the 21st where we get the next update, and that's when like all the restrictions are relaxed. And people can be more free. We're pretty much free in a sense at the moment, but you know, everyone's just sort of getting back to some normality. Family's all good, so the kids are out enjoying the sun. We got a little bit of sun this week, so
Yeah,
we're good.
yeah. And your family on the island, you get to keep in touch with them a bit?
Yeah. I speak to most of them, like if not daily, weekly. You know, so I'm always touching base with my people out there.
Yeah, very nice. And just so the viewers are aware as well, Jamahl is a scout and has been doing this for quite some time. And the reason I want to have him on is because of the opportunity he's received lately of being a scout for Manchester United, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, if not the biggest. Jamahl, firstly, I just wanted to know from you, how grateful are you for this opportunity and how did you feel when this was presented towards you?
I mean, look, the club speaks for itself. There's not much we have to say about, you know, the massive club that it is. You know, so it's definitely a massive opportunity for myself to be part of such a big establishment, and it's a privilege as well. You know, to be recognised as, you know, one of, you know, a lead sort of scout in the UK. You know, it just shows, it's just a credit to the work, and it shows the appreciation of you know, the work that's being done. I mean, for me, it's never about me. It's just always about providing opportunities for players. So I don't really look at it as where I can get personally as such. It's just more about how many players can I provide opportunities for, and then just because I feel with that attitude, the growth have just been, you know, a quick rate, you know, to get to where I'm at today, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. In terms of the knowledge that I have, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're basically going to be in charge of the South. So does that mean anything from the West Midlands down to Hampshire that you'll be in charge of tracking the talent, or are there other regions as well?
Not West Midlands, because I think we have. I mean, well, not think. I know we've got people within that sort of region, but the South is just sort of the southeast of England. So like, you know,
Kent, sorry.
the clubs on the coast, you know, your Southamptons, Brightons going down, Bristol's within that a little bit, and yeah, just pretty much the southern England is what I'm going to be mainly.
Yeah. Well, as you know, and you know, persons with good geography would know, it's still a massive area. You know, it might be the south, but it's still a massive area of talent to look through.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of clubs to be keeping an eye on. Not even just the clubs that are like professional clubs, but there's also a lot of grassroots and amateur clubs, which, you know, has also been a strong point for myself. So I like to keep in the loop of all of that stuff as well.
And I'm sure London, which has loads of clubs as well, will definitely be one of the biggest challenges, the Greater London area.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, like a lot of players have come out of sort of London and progressed on into the national sides and all that sort of stuff. So it's a massive pool, and one that, you know, no doubt why, you know, clubs like United and etc. are making inroads into London, because the talent down here is really good. So, you know, a club of this size wants to be in the loop with anything that's going on worldwide, really. But yeah, London's just sort of on the doorstep, I would say. with Brexit and all that sort of stuff, you'd imagine that there's going to be a lot of things happening nationally.
Yeah, and bearing in mind the job that you have and everything like that, and we spoke a bit earlier about the travel restrictions currently happening. But as things start to ease, would you be open to the opportunity of coming to the island and looking at some of the raw talent on store?
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. I know it's not as easy, getting players into the UK in general, but still, just coming over and casting my eye, even giving advice to the powers that be over there and stuff like that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, really, really brilliant. In terms of your team, will you have like a team around you in the south, or you just report? You're like a one-man army essentially for the south.
Oh, there's a few of us in the south. So there's a good team, good base. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're good. There's so many clubs to cover, so it's definitely not a one man sort of
Mhm. Yeah.
job. Yeah.
And just so viewers are aware, how did you get into scouting? Was it through punditry? Was it through commentary? How did this opportunity come about,
No,
in the early days? Yeah.
so like years ago now. So I was prior to joining United, I was at Crystal Palace for 10 years,
Wow.
and before that, I spent 6 months at Brentford, who's just made it into the Premier League, and I did like a year's voluntary at Fulham. So I've been around a few clubs, clubs that you see have got a good history of recruitment. Like you see the recruitment Brentford's done has been amazing. Even getting to the Premier League after selling some of their star players, in previous windows. Um, but what it was for me is we started a sort of amateur grassroots club. It would be we start 2010. In 2010, me and my business partner, we realized that there was a massive gap between not just the inner city players, but grassroots to academy in general. So we wanted to fill that gap and provide more opportunities for players that probably wouldn't have been seen otherwise. And so we started this project. Initially, it was just for the boys in the inner city to steer them away from the gangs and that gang and crime culture sort of thing. So we just sort of just help the youth, get them away from that, give them an outlet, give them something to aspire to. Because naturally, because there wasn't a lot of opportunities, a lot of the youth just sort of just think it's never going to happen for them anyway, so they don't bother with it, if that makes sense. So we started that project, and the project just went from strength to strength, really. And then from there, through the growth of that came the opportunities into the clubs that I mentioned earlier that I've worked at.
Yeah, and you spoke about some clubs are actually doing brilliantly. If you track back perhaps a decade from now, Brentford was probably struggling in League One, League Two. Data analytics comes into play, and they're now a Premier League team right now. You know about Crystal Palace and Aaron Wan-Bissaka and many others from the academy breaking through. What were the experiences like at those clubs?
Yeah, I mean, I loved my time at Brentford. Worked with some really top people. I don't know if you might not know them, because obviously scouts are not necessarily the the ones that are spoken about the most. But I worked with a guy called Sean O'Connor, who was at Arsenal, then went into Brentford, and really, Sean O'Connor and Ozzy really helped revamp the sort of recruitment drive, particularly within the academy setup at Brentford. And I was privileged enough to work under those incredible people down there. And there's quite a few players that are in and around either first team setups or youth team and 23s that came out of that the Brentford Academy, because Brentford folded their academy a few years ago and went through a different approach. And yeah, there's quite a few players in and around like first teams and youth teams. Like, for example, you got Tariq Mitchell at Palace, left back. I
Yeah.
mean, Palace, Palace got him out of Brentford when Brentford sort of folded, and there's one or two others, around the football league, etc. So yeah, it was a good step up, and you can see that the people down there, they really do things at grit and grave detail. So yeah, brilliant there. And then Palace, where I spent sort of most of my time and a lot of my education came from my time at Crystal Palace. You know, great experience. The club's got a rich history of producing talent. So it's a club that fell within my sort of ethos in providing opportunities and pathways. I think that I was at the perfect clubs for me at each stage, and they fell it. They was in line with what I believed in and what I wanted to see. So because I don't want to be somewhere where I don't think there's a realistic opportunity for players. I feel I'll be doing players an injustice. So the clubs I feel that I've been to and where I'm at now, I believe that these are the best clubs in terms of producing young talent and providing opportunities.
And speaking briefly about, your role in particular, is there a particular age group that you're targeting, or even senior players that are playing in the first team as well will be also on your radar as well moving forward?
I mean, I'm just mainly the academy side, so we pretty much in England you can't no players can't move nationally until under 14s. So my age ranges is from 12s upwards, but it's pretty much just the academy side, so not really anything above 18s.
Hmm. All right. And in terms of, your role as well as a scout, Jamal, it is quite fascinating. If somebody is interested in that position, or they want to make a transition from being an analyst or statistician, perhaps to be a scout one day, what advice would you give to someone that wants to have a role that you have today?
I mean, I would always say to anyone going into any field, just study that field and have a knowledge of that field. I mean, like for me personally, anything I go into, I always want to be the best within that field. So it's looking at who's the best, what are they doing? How can you come with something different? You see what I'm trying to say? How can you be innovative in your approach? And what would make you stand out from the rest? Why would people trust you? And I feel that one of the massive things for myself is just honesty, being honest with people, and it gives you a bigger network because people regard you as somebody trustworthy, and with trust becomes relationships. So, that's what I would say to people. Just study your field, try to become the best within your field, see who the best are, and just learn off of that and be innovative in your approach.
Well said. And in terms of the opportunity that you have right now, what are some of the goals that you have in mind, the expectations? You know, United's academy already is a fantastic system in terms of products and success and under 18s and the trophies that they win. What are some of the goals and expectations you have?
Ultimately, we just want to bring the best players into the club. You know, United, as you said, United. I think there was a stat that came out. I think since 1939, the only club to have a player from the academy in their starting 11, sort of thing. That's unbelievable. Just see what I'm saying? So it just shows the club's passion for youth and bringing through homegrown talent. So for me, I've just come in to support that, really, particularly from a southern perspective.
Yeah.
You know, you know, London and the south of England there's been many years that there's been a lot of noise around the talent in my region. So, no doubt for a club like United, we should be in for the biggest talent, not just in the world, but also within that region.
Look, Jaman, really, really appreciate your time. Enough respect. Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure to speak with you. I really, really appreciate the work that you've been doing, especially from your time at Crystal Palace. And honestly, I wish you all the best. And next time you're on the island, let's link up when everything starts to settle down.
Yeah, look, it's been a pleasure, and thanks to you for reaching out, man. I appreciate that. Even from as far as you're still recognizing, people that got Jamaican heritage and doing things outside of the island. So yeah, definitely. When I'm over, we have to link up. Definitely.
Yeah, and just before we go, what I'll tell you now is get close to Damani Mella, a Jamaican heritage lad in the United setup, and Ethan Laird, who was also born to Jamaican parents. If you get to mingle with them, some other Jamaicans that enjoy their patty and curry goat and oxtail. So yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming on once more. And Reggae Boys fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be in touch. Take care, lol.